Elite schools should no longer be called elite. Just say expensive. Which may be why they breed a particular brand of detestable graduate, a personality type that does not emerge from Chico State.
For Maher, this issue goes beyond politics, it's cultural. He argued that America has become so obsessed with self-criticism, it's forgotten gratitude. And then came his trademark punchline. If your parents have $300,000 to flush down the toilet, skip Harvard. Buy crypto, get a van, and go feed yourself to a bear. At least that's hard to get into. Brutal, but, as Maher's audience admitted, painfully accurate.
But the reason why despising Israel became pretty much a requirement of the American left is colleges. Elite colleges, the mouth of the river from which this and all manner of radical left, illiberal, yes, illiberal nonsense flows. Supporting all black, that is, segregated dorms, segregated graduation ceremonies and orientation programs, which occur on hundreds of campuses, is illiberal. So is the racism against Asian applicants.
Maher then turned his focus to parents and younger generations. He warned that college today is not the college you remember. Once symbols of discovery and diversity of thought, campuses have become ideological boot camps. To young viewers, he offered blunt advice: don't bury yourself in debt just to learn how to hate America. You can do that for free online. Maher accused political figures like Bernie Sanders and AOC of feeding this mindset, preaching against capitalism while thriving within it.
And chasing speakers off of campus? When the First Amendment watchdog group Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression began ranking colleges based on their commitment to free speech and inquiry, Harvard came in dead last. There's only one set of acceptable opinions on campus, and it's policed hard. The old dorm room bull sessions? It's less risky shooting the in Scientology.
Maher's frustration wasn't just with students, it was with the system that created them. He lamented how universities once built innovators and leaders, but now mass-produce activists who know how to dismantle, not build. Critical thinking has been replaced by moral posturing, and for a price tag nearing $300,000, Maher questioned what real value remains. Sure, he said, it might buy you social status, but not real-world skills. Degrees in grievance studies may win applause on campus, but Maher warned they offer little preparation for life outside it.
John Stuart Mill wrote that he who knows only his own side of the case knows little. To which today's college students respond, he and his are cis pronouns. That commit violence against queer and BIPOC communities, so who cares what John Stuart Mill says, whoever he is. Oh, and Thomas Jefferson was a slaveholder. He might have done some other stuff, but it wasn't on the test.
Maher painted a sharp picture of what he sees as today's academic outcome. Graduates fluent in identity politics, but clueless in practical problem solving. They've been taught that emotional comfort matters more than intellectual challenge. Instead of thinkers, universities are producing fragile activists. Maher even mocked Senator Josh Hawley, calling him the former debate team jerk-off, drawing nervous laughter from his audience. But his point was broader. Elite schools, he said, often create power-hungry careerists who chase credentials, not truth.
Elite schools should no longer be called elite. Just say expensive. Which may be why they breed a particular brand of detestable graduate, a personality type that does not emerge from Chico State.
Maher argued that modern universities no longer challenge minds, they mold them. He described a culture where there's only one acceptable set of opinions, enforced with cult-like intensity. The result, he said, is a generation of students who can recite every pronoun but crumble at the first sign of disagreement. Quoting philosopher John Stuart Mill, Maher reminded audiences, "He who knows only his own side of the case knows little." But, he joked, today's students would probably just complain about Mill's pronouns instead of learning from his wisdom.
Sure, they occasionally turn out someone decent, but for every Barack Obama, there are two Josh Hawleys. The former debate team jerk-off who had no friends, that no one likes today, and yet somehow manages to win a statewide popularity contest. Box-checking brown-nosers who don't actually believe anything except that tricking stupid people's fun.
But Maher didn't end on despair. He noted that a growing number of Americans are pushing back against ideological control in education. He pointed out that Donald Trump has been leading a national conversation about universities' political bias, calling out schools that replace academic rigor with activism. Love him or hate him, Maher said, Trump has tapped into a genuine frustration, the belief that schools should teach knowledge, not ideology. Parents are questioning, donors are withdrawing, and students themselves are beginning to demand real education again.
And while it may seem like these men like these, and the kids who signed the Harvard letter have nothing in common, actually I think they do. They all came out of an asshole factory. So to the older folks I say, college today is not the college you remember. And to the younger people I say, don't do it. You don't need 4 years and a lifetime of crippling debt to learn to hate America when you can just watch 5 minutes of Selling Sunset.
Maher also warned against the idea of free college for all, arguing that it only feeds a broken system. If universities are already failing students, he said, pouring more money into them just funds indoctrination, not education. He questioned why working-class Americans should pay higher taxes to support degrees that benefit only the privileged few. In Maher's view, the left's obsession with using education as a moral solution to every problem has become dangerous, spreading control instead of opportunity.
If your parents have 300 grand they absolutely need to flush down the toilet, put it in crypto, or buy a van, go to a national park and feed yourself to a bear. Because any legacy dipshit can go to Penn, but a bear, that's hard to get in.
Maher concluded with a message about the true purpose of education. College should expand your mind, not narrow it.
It should challenge you, not coddle you.
He argued that the fight to restore higher education isn't lost, but it requires courage. If students, parents, and educators demand real learning instead of political preaching, universities can still be saved. And in his closing words, Maher issued a challenge to viewers. Do you think universities have lost their way, or is there still hope for higher education?
President Biden's American Families Plan asks the taxpayers to pony up hundreds of billions so that everyone can go to college, and billions more for subsidized childcare so our kids can go to school while we go to school. The theory being that all this education trickles down and eventually gets to Florida. Now, the right is calling Biden's plan social engineering, which is over the top, but Biden's plan is an endorsement of a particular idea, that the more time humans spend in classrooms staring at blackboards, the better. Liberals see more school the way Republicans see tax cuts, as the answer to everything.
Maher continued by pointing out the growing hypocrisy inside academia. He argued that universities preaching inclusion have become some of the most divisive places in America. But his biggest concern? The death of free speech. College, once the place for open debate and bold ideas, has turned into an environment of fear and censorship. Students are scared to speak honestly, and professors walk on eggshells. Maher cited the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, which ranked Harvard, America's most prestigious university, dead last for free speech.
We imagine going to college is the way to fight income inequality, but actually it does the reverse. If you have a bachelor's degree, you make about 65% more than someone who doesn't. And with a master's degree, it's more like 100% more. And the unemployment rate of college grads is about half what it is for high school grads. I know free college is a left-wing thing, but is it really liberal for someone who doesn't go to college and makes less money to pay for people who do go and make more?
Bill Maher has once again sparked national debate, this time taking aim at America's most revered institutions, the Ivy League. Maher didn't hold back. He argued that these schools should stop calling themselves elite and start calling themselves what they really are, expensive. According to Maher, the so-called elite universities are no longer producing the nation's brightest minds, but some of its most insufferable. He accused them of being the source of much of today's radical nonsense, saying universities have transformed from temples of free thought into echo chambers of conformity.